Good morning, everyone. My name is Joanne Jobin. I'll be your host today for the Uranium Energy Company webcast and conference call. Uranium Energy Corp, America's fastest growing uranium mining company, announced this morning that it has acquired UEX Corporation, thereby creating the largest diversified North American focused uranium company. Wow, that's a mouthful. Before we get started, I do want to remind you that there will be Q&A after this presentation. Please submit your questions through the Q&A tab. And with us here this morning to discuss this transaction is President, CEO, and Founder Amir Adnani and Mr. Roger Lemaitre, the President and CEO of UEX Corporation. Gentlemen, tell us about this exciting development.
Thank you very much for that introduction. It is an exciting morning here for us to talk about a very strategic transaction that will lead to the creation of the largest diversified North American-focused uranium company. And so today truly is a landmark transaction. UEC and UEX issued a joint news release today. And this news release, along with the transaction presentation, will be available on the investor relations section of both the UEC and UEX websites. Joining me today is UEX's President, Chief Executive Officer, and Director, Roger Lemaitre. Roger, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Amir, and thank you, everybody. Good morning. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that our discussion during this conference call will include forward-looking statements that are based on assumptions that are subject to risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ material from those projected in forward-looking statements. Management can give no assurance that any forward-looking statement will prove to be correct, and forward-looking statements during this call speak only as of today, and we undertake no obligation to update or revise these statements except as required by applicable law. Management refers you to the cautionary statement and risk factors included in both our company's public disclosures, as well as today's joint press release. I'll pass it back to you, Amir, to walk through the investment highlights.
Thank you, Roger. Again, good morning, everyone. And we are going to start here. Hopefully, you can all see the slides that we're sharing with you as well on slide 5. We're really pleased to announce this transaction, which will result in the creation, as I mentioned at the beginning, of the largest diversified North American-focused uranium company. I guess you're going to hear us really emphasize the word diversified. This is a big part of it, and North America. We will build upon each of the points on this page in greater detail throughout this presentation, but we believe the transaction to be highly beneficial to both UEC and UEX shareholders. With the presence across numerous resource stage assets in Canada's world-class Athabasca Basin, as well as production-ready projects in the U.S. The combined company, what we will refer to throughout this presentation as pro forma UEC, will be strategically positioned as the leading company to meet America's and the Western world's near-term and long-term uranium demand. Given the compelling strategic rationale and attractive valuation, and with the enhanced scale, diversification, and growth pipeline of the combined company, we believe there's a compelling case for a potential share price re-rate, an outcome that would benefit both UEC and UEX shareholders. Pro forma UEC will be well capitalized with over $180 million in US dollars in cash and liquid assets, no debt. The company will benefit from remaining debt-free on a pro forma basis, and truly ample liquidity to fund both the production and the development pipeline. Finally, we're confident that with an experienced and professional management team, pro forma UEC is well positioned to drive continued growth and shareholder value. We're going to go to slide 6. And a lot of this information here on slide 6 is in the press releases, will be on the website. Encourage you to look into it. Encourage you to contact our offices to ask questions about this if you're existing shareholders. But we're going to dive into more detail on the terms of the transaction. As disclosed in our press release, UEC will be acquiring all of the issued and outstanding shares of UEX through a plan of arrangement. The transaction was unanimously approved by UEX's board, and voting and support agreements were executed by UEX's directors and senior officers. Holders of UEX common shares will receive 0.0831 of a UEC common share for every UEX share held. This consideration represents a premium of approximately 50% based on UEX's closing price on June 10, 2022. At closing, existing UEC and UEX shareholders will own approximately 86.3% and 13.7%, respectively, of pro forma UEC based on current common shares outstanding. This transaction requires, among other things, 2/3% shareholder approval from UEX, as well as a majority of minority vote. The transaction is also subject to court approval. No shareholder vote is required on the UEC side. The transaction is subject to customary deal protections, including a non-solicit, right to match, and a break fee. Lastly, UEC has agreed to provide UEX with 5 million Canadian dollars of funding by way of a private placement of UEX shares, subject to the approval of the TSX. We're going to slide 7. I want to step back a little bit and talk about the backdrop that is very important as well, amongst other things, to the decision-making process here. And as we step back, I want to touch really briefly on the structural changes in the macro environment. Recent global events have set in motion long-term structural changes in the supply chains of energy commodities, where security of supply and reduction of geopolitical and transportation risk will be key strategic differentiators. On the demand side, there is a growing trend by Western utilities to secure supplies from uranium projects in politically stable jurisdictions. This transaction with UEX fits well with the structural changes, as we are focusing exclusively in the Americas and politically stable jurisdictions to bring online future uranium production. Switching to slide 8, pro forma UEC is expected to have more than double of UEC's current uranium resources, with all the assets located in world-class politically stable jurisdictions. UEX's projects are advanced in the resource stage and really in strong joint venture partnerships with established uranium miners. This allows UEC to remain operationally focused in the US while participating in the potential upside from the continued development of the Canadian portfolio. UEX complements UEC's near-term production-ready and brownfield restart assets in the US with medium and long-term production potential in Canada. The addition of UEX's assets will build upon a portfolio of quality projects. Moving on to slide 9, you can visually observe the increased diversification that pro forma UEC achieves through this acquisition. UEX's portfolio uniquely spans both Western and Eastern Athabasca, with projects located within kilometers of past and currently producing world-class uranium mines. These assets are home to some of the largest undeveloped uranium deposits across the globe. Key assets include the Shea Creek project, one of the largest undeveloped deposits in the Athabasca Basin, jointly owned by Orano. The wholly owned Horseshoe Raven project, hosting over 37 million pounds of indicated resources. The resource-stage Christie Lake project straddling the eastern Athabasca uranium corridor. Additionally, partially owned projects include the Millennium project, majority owned by Cameco, the Wheeler River project, and the Kigavik project in Nunavut. Moving on to the U.S. projects, the fully permitted hub and spoke operations in Wyoming and Texas offered the ability of near-term production, representing the largest ISR processing facilities in the United States. Pro forma UEC holds a key strategic advantage relative to competitors. In addition to the properties and facilities, pro forma UEC's physical uranium portfolio is a substantial asset and provides balance sheet strength. It increases leverage to the uranium price, as well as giving us strategic inventory. The resulting diversification across politically stable and world-class mining jurisdictions will allow pro forma UEC to build upon the combined success that both companies have achieved to date. I have to say, I really love this slide and these maps and this portfolio. I mean, this is really something. We go to slide 10, and Roger, I'm going to pass it to you.
UEX, we have key and marquee partnerships with our joint venture partners. These partnerships will allow pro forma UEC to continue to focus on production in the US, as well as development of newly acquired wholly owned assets in Canada. Cameco and Orano, our partners, are seasoned operators, and are well positioned to advance our jointly held uranium projects. So, Amir, back to you.
Thank you, Roger. So let's look at a bit of peer benchmarking. This is also a compelling slide here. So here on slide 11, you can see this acquisition really bolsters the combined company's positioning among its uranium peers. The significant addition to resources and added quality of assets results in pro forma UEC scaling upwards alongside some of the largest developers and operators across the globe. That's the graph on the left-hand side. And additionally, UEC's trading volume demonstrates its peer-leading capital market presence. That's a graph on the right-hand side. We're going to go to slide 12. Turning here to slide 12, you can see that pro forma UEC stands out relative to peers as the largest diversified Americas-focused uranium company. Although there are other companies with a larger underlying resource base, none are diversified geographically or solely focused in North America when compared to pro forma UEC. This really demonstrates the peer-leading low-risk positioning that pro forma UEC, as it is the largest diversified uranium company with key focus on the Americas and North America. This is an important attribute when considering the current state of the geopolitical landscape.
So UEX's contribution to pro forma UEC brings together two very strong and very complementary portfolios. UEX's key projects with production visibility offer exposure to development alongside seasoned operators. Additionally, UEX's experienced team will be a great value to the combined entity, providing the expertise necessary to participate in the development of the Athabasca Basin. The promising resources and extensive land package represent value optionality with one of the most established prospective regions for uranium across the globe. Amir?
Thank you. All right, in summary, this is a good summary, and Roger and I have both been at this for a long time, so really excited about the value that this deal delivers to both of our shareholders. And so really this highly accretive transaction has compelling strategic rationale, adding meaningful scale. And while UEC retains 86.3% pro forma ownership and UEX receives a very meaningful premium. Establishing this diversified presence in the world-class and prospective jurisdictions of Saskatchewan, Nunavut, with marquee partnerships, cements UEC's position as North America's largest diversified uranium company. Furthermore, pro forma UEC maintains strong liquidity position, no debt, supporting the company's production readiness and ability to pursue growth via its newly acquired assets. We will now close our prepared remarks. We look forward to this new phase of our company as we deliver continued growth and value for our shareholders.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was a fantastic presentation. The floor is now open for Q&A. Again, if you do have questions, please submit them to the Q&A portal, and I will be moderating on behalf of the company. All right, so let's start. And you do have a lot of questions, by the way. So let's start with the first one. Question to UEX. Why accept an offer at that level, since despite being at 50% premium, if it continues to significantly underprice your assets by a factor of 2 to 3?
I guess we would argue about the underpricing of the assets. We believe that the pro forma UEC is going to re-rate, and our shareholders, in addition to getting the premium, will have the ability to participate in that re-rating and develop, a marquee company in the uranium space that their shareholder will be a part of.
Well said. What is UEC's current relationship with Orano, and how do you expect to leverage that relationship to restart Shea Creek?
We have excellent relationships with the players in the uranium sector, including Orano, Cameco, and frankly, anyone. So I think UEC has demonstrated the ability to work with certainly the larger entities in the sector. Late last year, we worked with Rosatom, one of the largest nuclear fuel companies in the world, to acquire Uranium 1 from them. And so really our track record, almost 18 years of existence, production in the US, team size, credibility, and professionalism has positioned us to be really in a seat to work with anyone in the sector, and look forward to working with Orano, Cameco, as two of the joint venture partners here to advance these projects.
Thank you, Amir. Here's a question that relates to world politics and what's going on right now. Do you really think there is going to be a bifurcated uranium market with Russian, Kazakh, Uzbek trading at a different price or a different price structure?
I'm sure we both want to comment on this, so maybe I'll go first, and Roger, love to hear your thoughts on this as well. I would say absolutely. What's happened with Russia's invasion of Ukraine should truly be unacceptable and not tolerated by the West. The human casualty and devastation is unbearable, and the fact that there is still supplies coming from Russia into the Western world and into the US longer term will not be a trend that I think utilities will tolerate or governments will tolerate. Case in point is why the US government, as recent as last week, made announcements about the Department of Energy embarking on billions of dollars of purchases that they plan to make, and they're seeking government appropriations and approvals from Congress to invest in uranium conversion and enrichment in the US. The establishment of the US Uranium Reserve to purchase physical uranium on behalf of the US government is truly historic. You have to go back to the 1950s, the last time the US government was purchasing uranium. This is a dynamic that clearly UEC, with US-based assets that are fully permitted and production ready, truly benefits from, and we're in a leadership position in the US in terms of production. This is definitely a position that will benefit the combined company, and that's why the combination of our assets makes so much strategic sense, because we do believe long-term, Canada is very much aligned with the US, of course, in terms of political values and social values. And this is a case where not only will US assets benefit, but Canadian assets will benefit longer term. And I think what's key is that we are not exposing our shareholders to neither single project risk or risk of exposure to projects in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, or Russia. Roger?
Well said.
I don't know how much more I can add on that, except to say that we're already seeing, whether it comes out by government legislation or sanctions, or even consumer choice, as you see in some of the European countries already moving away from Russian sources, that the world is going in that direction. And there is fairly limited Western supply. So I think that's what makes this deal and being North American focused so very valuable for the company going forward.
Thank you, gentlemen. And now we've got a question regarding the makeup of the new company. Will there be any management staying on or board representation from the UEX team?
Yeah, if I can take that, please. The short answer is yes. And to expand on that, what we really see as a win-win deal here is not only the financial metrics that have to make sense to both sets of shareholders, and the anticipated re-rating that Roger alluded to, which we expect will be, again, beneficial to both sets of shareholders. But in addition to the financial metrics that make so much sense here and present a win-win deal, we have incredible synergies from a human capital point of view. UEC truly is a US-focused company from a development and operating point of view. We gain in UEX a very competent, strong, and professional team led by Roger that was assembled and had tremendous success assembling one of the largest portfolios in Athabasca Basin. And this truly needs, and this is why the deal makes so much sense, both financially and from a human capital synergy point of view. And of course, let's not forget, again, there are meaningful partners here on these projects that UEX owns. And these senior mining companies that are the joint venture partners on the projects reduce the load for us from a human capital point of view, such that we don't need to be as operational in Canada as we're operationally focused in the US. And that's why this deal truly allows UEC, pro forma UEC, to scale with the addition of the team led by Roger in Canada, but also with the greater participation as well of our joint venture partners moving forward, while we continue to advance operationally our focus in the US on our near-term production initiatives in Wyoming and Texas.
Thank you, Amir. Now we have a question again on the deal structure. This is a two-part question. Why does Mr. Adnani think that UEX has been underperforming the uranium stocks and ETFs? And what is his strategy to turn around the perception of the market on UEX? And the second part of the question is, why did UEC choose to use shares instead of cash for the transaction, even though the stock has been penalized in recent months?
First of all, when you look at the portfolio and the partners that UEX has attracted and has on its projects, this is a company and a team that should be commended for having assembled, again, one of the most diversified portfolios in Athabasca Basin in Canada, with significant resources in the ground and senior partners in joint venture arrangements, number one. Number two, as many on this call know, as you follow the markets, market has been extremely both volatile and difficult year to date, especially since Russia's invasion of Ukraine and ongoing issues and headwinds around inflation and the tightening that's underway by the Fed. And so all of this creates challenges in the market for all types of companies, and the uranium sector is not shielded from that. Longer term, where UEX and UEC benefit is that size does matter in the market, and having a differentiated story will matter. And what we've really done here is that we've created a highly differentiated story. If I go back to slide 12, and we kind of covered the fact that with this transaction, we create an entity that is truly unmatched in the uranium sector. That when you think about what the investment community and what investors are looking for, upon completion of this transaction, UEC or pro forma UEC really will be the go-to uranium name in this space. And this is the slide that highlights that. This is the rationale for the deal, in that the focus on North America, the focus on combining near-term production in the United States with long-term development pipeline in Canada that, again, are in joint ventures with senior partners makes a ton of sense. And as the company sees a re-rating ahead, as we've talked about here, this is a win-win deal because it delivers an immediate premium to UEX shareholders while a re-rate potential for the combined company moving forward. So, of course, this makes more sense on an equity basis for everyone involved. And it leaves UEC's strong balance sheet to be the foundation of balance sheet strength that is needed to be able to advance such a comprehensive and diversified portfolio forward. And so for all those reasons, the deal has been proposed and structured as is.
Thank you, Amir. Next question. What is the $5 million in cash from UEC to UEX to be used for, given that UEX has $180 million in cash and liquid assets?
Roger, you may want to clarify that, but I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, certainly. If it's UEC that has the $180 million in cash and liquid assets, not UEX. So hopefully that helps frame the question a little bit. But while we close this transaction, I think both companies want to see continued, put to the pedal as we can in the Athabasca Basin on an exploration proposal or execution point of view. And this will help us continue to move our projects forward and help us a little bit of G&A as well while the transaction closes.
Thank you, Roger. We're starting to wrap up, so we will take one more question. And gentlemen, just one question from my point of view. Will these slides be available on your website? Because I know a lot of people are asking for them.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So again, to clarify, these slides will be available on the UEX and UEC website. If it's not already posted, give us a few hours. Our respective teams are at the PDAC in Toronto, so there might just be some delays in getting things up on the website. Joanne, I think that's where you are as well, in Toronto right now. So it's always
in my lovely hotel room. Yeah,
it's always exciting to have big transactions announced on the first day of the PDAC, and especially when this PDAC happens to be in June as opposed to the regular March. But again, please, any questions, the UEC website, UEX website, and our offices are available to answer questions. Please contact us. The PowerPoint presentation we shared today will be posted on our websites. Please check it there. The press release that was jointly issued this morning, again, I believe contains all the relevant information. It's a bit long. Please go through it and you'll see the information in there that you're probably wondering about. But again, failing all of that, just pick up the phone and call us. Both sets of companies and teams are available.
Excellent. And gentlemen, before we sign off, would either of you like to say a few words about the deal in place? This is really quite an amazing announcement this morning that happened. And, just leave our viewers. And by the way, you have quite a few in the room. There's 107 people in here right now. So quite a crowd you've garnered on a short notice. So, I'll leave the stage. I'll leave the floor to you, gentlemen, to say a few words about the deal, and then we'll sign off.
Thank you. And with that said, I'd like to thank the over 100 individuals who have joined this call today. We do appreciate that, first of all. Second of all, again, I go back to the amount of time that both Roger and I have invested in this industry and in this sector, with UEC approaching almost 18 years of age, and Roger, UEX having been around a long time as well. These are two companies that have truly taken a long-term approach to the uranium industry, and our long-term commitment is what allowed us to be in a position to have significant resources in the ground, with production readiness and with partners. This is the moment in time to combine these two companies, the way we are under a friendly arrangement to truly create the go-to uranium company in the sector. Again, I repeat, the portfolio on a pro forma basis is unparalleled. To be focused in North America and to be as diversified as the pro forma company will be, with significant balance sheet strength, and again, no debt, and a team that is truly committed and has delivered production in the past, as the UEC team has, and has the production capability, and also with the development pipeline in Canada. This is an exciting combination and truly sets up pro forma UEC to be the go-to uranium company in the space for the bull market cycle that we're entering for uranium. We're really excited about it.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, Amir. It's the right time to do this for UEX shareholders, as it is for UEC shareholders. We're at the beginning of the market, and being the go-to name in the space with significant diversity and a focus in North America is unique. And I think we hope the investors feel the same way that we do about it going forward.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today for this fantastic announcement from UEX and UEC. We will see you the next time. And thank you once again. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.